This video covers what you need to know to reduce export build size in Godot. You will need command line tools to recompile from source and a custom build profile to decide which components to include. And the release of Godot 4.5 makes the whole process easier, saving you from the nightmare. But before everything, let's talk about what you actually packing when you export your game. I exported a simple roulette game for itch.io. The final package size was 42 meg, even though all assets, images, sounds, and scripts together were under 1 meg. The reason is the file index.wasm. This single file is about 41 meg. This file is essential because it is the core of the Godot engine. It's the bridge that lets your game talk to the operating system. When you export, you first need the export template. Open the Export Template Manager. Download it. Click Open Folder. Extract the web release zip. Inside, you'll find the same WebAssembly file around 41.6 meg. That's exactly where the export size comes from. Also, at the end of the download page, you'll find the export templates. These are the exact same files you'll need to run your game outside the editor. Think of them as a pre-compiled version of the Godot engine. They contain the core runtime, but without the editor interface you're familiar with. These export templates cover many platforms: Android, Linux, Apple, Web, and Windows. These templates make your game runs anywhere. The good news is you don't have to worry about compatibility. The bad news? They include every module, whether you need them or not. So here's the question: what if we strip out the modules we'll never use? If all I want is a spinning wheel, I don't need 3D or VR. The idea is simple. Recompile the engine from source, with only the essentials. That gives you a smaller, custom build to replace the default one. It's not a simple process. First, everything is done through the command line. Second, you'll need to decide which modules to keep and which to drop. And finally, you must test carefully to make sure your game doesn't crash. Godot's documentation explains the process in detail, in the sections, compiling for Windows, and optimizing for size. For extra guidance, check out Popcar's blog, packed with powerful tricks you won't find in the official docs. To get started, you'll need Python, a compiler, a build system called scons, and of course, the Godot source code. First step, install Python, then mingw. Download the Godot source code from GitHub. Installing scons. Run scons. In my case, GW Tutorials made a video that solved my problem. Thank you. It is no surprise that similar problems exist everywhere, at every step. But if you're thinking, I don't want to mess with all this crap, there is always a solution to help. But first, let's roll everything back. Back to the documentation. Right under Requirements, you'll find a tool called Scoop. Open the page. Copy the commands. Run them in PowerShell. Once Scoop is installed, run this command. It installs Python and mingw in one go, and even 7-zip. Then, install scons. Inside the Godot source code folder, run scons. It works, but just only for Windows. My goal is to upload my roulette game to itch.io. That means compiling for the web. First, install Emscripten. Use Git if you have it, or download the SDK zip file. Extract the zip, start PowerShell inside that folder. Run the install line, then activate. Although you can activate path and other environment variables with this line. Remember, path variables disappear when you close PowerShell. Instead, add permanent at the end of activate command. So what is an environment variable? Think of it as a list of folders your system searches when you run a program. Inside the Godot source folder, Python, mingw, and scons are not there. PowerShell checks the system path to find them elsewhere. Here's how you can see it. Type env in the Start menu. Click Environment Variables. Open Path, then Edit. There you will see Scoop has Python and mingw, plus the Emscripten folder. Now Windows knows where to look. Now head back to the Godot source folder. Type scons help. You will see options for Windows and web. This is where the real engine rebuild begins. The list of parameters is long. Platform, editor, release, debug, optimization, and more. Typing it all out is painful. There is a tool called the Godot Build Options Generator. You'll find it under Introduction to the Build System. Scroll down, open the page, pick your settings, and the tool will generate a custom.py file. Here is where it gets tricky. The editor doesn't cover all basic settings. It mainly focuses on modules. And you don't always know what to keep or drop. Wrong guess, and your game could crash, freeze, or lose sound. It becomes trial and error, sometimes for weeks. And honestly, I have no clue why. Inside Godot, there's a second profile generator. Go to Project, Tools, and choose Engine Compilation Configuration Editor. From here, you can opt out items one by one, save the result as a build profile, and later use both files to recompile Godot. Keep in mind, the Detect from Project option doesn't work in versions before 4.4. Luckily, Godot 4.5 renew the Engine Compilation Configuration Editor. Thanks to Michael Alexander and David Snopek, detection is finally reliable. No more blind guessing. Now you can get two profile for your compile. Yes, both profile can be used the same time. Here is an idea to make use of both files. Anything about basic build system, like target, debug symbols, disable 3D, optimize. Type that in custom.py. If module can be wiped out by detection. Let the editor do it. When both files are ready, copy them to Godot source folder. Now run scons. When finished, check the bin folder. There it is, your export template. You can tell from the size. Weight is loose. And the zip file that pack all files for you. Move the zip file into your game project folder. Create a backup of custom.py and custom.build. This prevents overwriting. Open Godot. In the export dialog, select Web. If the debug and release templates are blank, that means the default is in use. Now, assign the new templates you create. Export the project. Pay attention to the debug and release checkbox. It's easy to miss. I spent hours finding it. Open the export folder. The WebAssembly file is the smaller one. To confirm success, upload to itch.io. Zip everything. Open itch.io. Create a new project. First thing first, create a title. The kind of project is HTML, so it can play on browser. Upload the zip. Set it to Play in browser. Fill in other information. Upload thumbnail and screenshot. At bottom of the page, click Save and view the page. Don't expect perfection on the first try. It took me months to reach this point. Start with the default template, make sure your game runs, then remove modules you don't need. The wheel spins, the task is complete. Check out this page, give it a spin. Here's the task list I have put together up to this point. Download Godot's source code. Go to scoop.sh to install Scoop. Use scoop to install Python and mingw. Install scons. Install Emscripten. Check environment variable for path. Check scons for platform. Create custom.py. Create custom.build. Compile by scons. Assign template in export dialog. Export release build. I ran some tests to see how much the export size could be reduced. As baseline with the original template, the game was about 42 meg. By disabling modules through trial and error, I got it down to 35.7 meg. The game's still running fine. Using version 4.5, the size was cut by more than half. That's the best result so far. Interestingly, with the same 4.5 command and build profile, you can compile Godot 4.4 source code without changes. That gave me a 40% reduction. Not bad. Maybe even older versions of Godot 4 are worth testing. Smaller engine, but still compatible. Godot's documentation and Popcar's blog mention other techniques to shrink the size further. But for now, this result is good enough. Until there is a one-click solution, I don't recommend spending too much time here. Setting up scons, guessing modules, and recompiling can be endless frustration. Remember, smaller file size doesn't make your game better. Focus your time and resources on making it fun.